Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 29th of May for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you an overview which we can all relate to collectively, but please stay with me. I will explore in much greater detail all the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. If you're new here, it's great to have you with us. This is very much a community. Do share any thoughts you have. I try to interact with each one, but please also subscribe by clicking or tapping on the bell notification symbol. As this week begins, so the Sun is in a very enthusiastic and energizing link with Mars. The Sun's in Gemini, which is fleet-footed, loves lots of quick, short, but bright conversations and has an appetite for everyday knowledge and information. Mars in the proud Leo is a really wonderful location for Mars. It's pushing us to manifest our talents wherever we can. It's just that despite their vibrant link, Saturn is being somewhat of a spoilsport, located in house 12, which can be to do with the people who are not necessarily on our side, or the more psychological or subconscious strands of our situation. Saturn is in a right angle with the Sun, which can slow things down, but it's also in a triangle with Mars. And if we don't really target our efforts in a very focused way, we could end up feeling a bit frustrated at the start of this week. But Wednesday, fortunately, sees Mercury emerge from its post-retrograde shadow. If we go back to the 4th of April, when Mercury moved into Taurus, by the 7th, it started to slow down and go into its pre-retrograde shadow. The retrograde itself began on the 21st of April and ended on the 15th of May. But if anything to do with finance has felt sluggish, has slowed down for you, or you've been waiting for some information or news, the chances are you're going to get that confirmation in the second half of this week as Mercury comes out of shadow, which is like a mini retrograde, but also aligns with the bright energies of Uranus, which is very much about truths. So Uranus in Taurus is joined by Mercury, and some information can come into the open which provides some real illumination, particularly if you have been feeling that things just aren't shifting. Now Venus is the ruler of the sign of Taurus and therefore intrinsically linked to everyday finance, but is currently in the feeling sign of Cancer, and it forges a quite enchanting link with Neptune in the second half of this week. If you're lucky enough to be involved in a friendship, association, or personal relationship, which really is lovely, you can celebrate this with that other person in the latter part of this week. But Venus is also in a direct opposition with Pluto, and that can bring a much more political vibe to bear. But overall, the two influences involving Venus ask us to really count our blessings in terms of our associations, but also appreciate what our core values are, which provide our sense of security, with Venus being in the sign of security, Cancer. But as the week draws to a close, we do have the full moon, the Sagittarius strawberry full moon. So this can be a crop of strawberries, if we like, over the next couple of weeks, but it can also see some strident conversations. The sign of Sagittarius loves openness and can be quite frank, but it's also about higher truths, whereas the Sun in Gemini is about those everyday quick moving chats that are not necessarily always so deep and thought through. So there could be some kind of discussion that manifests itself at the end of this week. If it's about money, if it's about our core values, our self-worth, or a relationship, it really wouldn't be a surprise. But something may need to come into the open which provides illumination, but it could be a little bit uncomfortable hearing what someone has to say. Now, if you would like to learn much more deeply how astrology can have such a profound impact on your life, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data, of time, date and place of birth, I can produce for you your life roadmap report. This will give you an intimate understanding of the patterns that have played out in your existence so far. In my special offer of 30% off, you can also get your 12-month forecast. Totally unique to you, these reports, and that will give you Syrian insights. If you don't know your time, my new solar reports based on the sun can also be invaluable to you. Please see the links below for more. So Scorpio, your week commencing the 29th of May forecast sees your traditional ruler Mars high in the sky still, giving you extra confidence and ability to project your qualities and skills and talents in a much more powerful way. This is giving you extra drive to raise your profile. The link with the sun in the 8th house suggests that when it comes to your business interests, this combination can be really helpful. It's just, Scorpio, that the more restrictive energies of Saturn is applying to both the Sun and also Mars. So when it comes to being creative, that may prove to be a bit more challenging. So if you're prepared to go through the processes that are expected of you, in other words, play to the rules, if you work in a big organisation, do the things that are immediately expected of you rather than being more creative or entrepreneurial, that's probably where you're going to win the proverbial brownie points. But if you want to be more of your own person, that angle between the Sun and Saturn could be more limiting and even a little bit frustrating. If you imagine what it's like to drive the car with the handbrake on, that's what the Sun's square with Saturn can feel like. So just be conscious of that. The great news, however, Scorpio, is that on Wednesday, Mercury emerges from its post-retrograde shadow. If through the 4th of April to now, it has felt that your relationship sector has felt a little bit blocked at times, or you've maybe met somebody, had some interactions, it's looked promising and then tapered off, not really gone anywhere, or it's been more difficult to get clarity around existing relationships. By the end of this week, a sudden connection or clarity can emerge as Mercury advances and links with Uranus. So I feel the unsettledness that has affected that area is also being blessed by Jupiter being there since the middle of May. So your relationship sector is set fair now, particularly with Jupiter's support over the next 12 months. But Venus, of course, is also the planet of relating, and that forges through your sister water sign of Cancer, a beautiful link with Neptune, also in the sister water sign of Pisces. So that links back to your sign in a water triplicity. And that just means that when it comes to your feelings around someone that you're drawn to new, I feel that do tune in carefully to whatever your sixth sense is telling you, because it's not going to let you down. But by the end of this week, Venus is in a complex opposition with Pluto, your modern ruler. A conversation could prove to be a little bit intense, but could provide some illumination. But the full moon does suggest that you could have to grapple with the reality of your financial situation, the ins and outs, and maybe there will be some changes that you need to make. What we're all being asked to do at the moment is to sweat more from the resources we've got, to be a bit craftier, a bit thriftier, and that's to deal with the costs that we can't necessarily control, such as the cost of shopping, fuel bills, and so on. So as this week draws to a close, it's just more of the same that's been ongoing for the last year for many people. But for you, I feel because the moon in Sagittarius can be about information, you may learn something which can inform how you marshal those resources, and it can be very much to your benefit.